Let your words be few, but well chosen, so that men may marvel more at what you leave unsaid than at what you speak. Baldassare Castiglione. Picture a hall where sound does not echo, but lingers. A hall where eyes are everywhere, and every word spoken is carried like smoke to the throne. This is not a battlefield, not a parliament, not a marketplace. It is a court. The court has existed in every age and every empire. In the courts of ancient Byzantium, nobles schemed beneath painted ceilings. In the forbidden palaces of Ming China, officials bowed low while planning each other's ruin. In Renaissance Italy, courtiers practiced a dangerous art, pleasing power without becoming a victim of it. To master this law is to survive in any hierarchy. To ignore it is to be swept away by forces you never even saw coming. Let us draw back the curtain and step through the first great doorway of this law. Beyond it lies Renaissance Italy, where marble halls hid sharper blades than any battlefield, and where one man, with quill in hand, first captured the art of the courtier. Enter Baldassare Castiglione. The Italy of the early 16th century was not a single kingdom, but a patchwork of fiercely independent city-states. Florence with its Medici rulers and patronage of Michelangelo. Venice, a republic of merchants and spies. Rome, where popes wielded armies as easily as scripture. Milan, Ferrara, Mantua, each a jewel with its own prince or duke, each a chessboard of ambition. And then there was Urbino, smaller, but renowned as a beacon of refinement. The Renaissance breathed through its streets. The palace itself, perched on a hill like a crown, was a labyrinth of galleries, libraries, and secret rooms. Musicians played beneath vaulted ceilings. Courtiers strolled in gardens perfumed with citrus and jasmine. Every glance, every bow, every whispered phrase carried hidden meaning. Into this world came Baldassare Castiglione, born in the year 1478. He was educated in letters and trained in arms, a man prepared for both the sword and the pen, but he soon discovered that neither alone guaranteed survival in Urbino's court. What mattered most was how one moved in the presence of power. Castiglione watched carefully. He saw soldiers who boasted too loudly of their victories and earned quiet enemies. He saw poets who tried too hard to display their genius and were quietly excluded from the inner circle. He saw courtiers who flattered clumsily, their praise dripping like syrup until it sickened those who heard it. All of them disappeared. But then there were others, men and women who never seemed to strain or struggle. They spoke at the right moment and stayed silent at the right time. They complimented the Duke's hunting skills not every day, but at that single perfect moment when it felt sincere. They listened far more than they spoke, and yet somehow they knew everything. These were the survivors, the true courtiers. Castiglione began to collect their habits, their methods, their secrets. His work, Il Corteggiano, the Book of the Courtier, was not written as a list of rules, but as 4 evenings of conversation among the most polished minds of Urbino. Reading it feels as if you have been invited into a private salon, where the glow of torches softens the edges of ambition, and truths are shared in the safety of velvet curtains and low laughter. A courtier must conceal his art and appear to do everything without effort, he wrote. In all human affairs, the less effort and art we show, the better and more gracefully we act. This is where the idea of sprezzatura emerges, the art of making even the most calculated gesture seem unplanned. It is a man performing on the lute, as if the melody had been born in his fingers that very moment, though he has practiced through countless nights. It is a courtier offering counsel that feels like a sudden thought, though it has been sculpted in his mind for weeks. Castiglione also warned against vulgar flattery. He spoke of praise as though it were a rare spice, to be sprinkled lightly and only when it would heighten the dish, never overwhelm it. To praise too often is to reveal your desperation. To praise too little is to seem cold. The perfect courtier learns the balance. And then perhaps his greatest lesson? Silence. The court was alive with chatter, rumors, and schemes. But a single word spoken in haste could unravel a life. Castiglione advised, "Be slow to speak, quick to listen, and let others reveal themselves in the spaces you leave." Picture him in Urbino's gardens at dusk, watching fireflies rise above the hedges. Around him, courtiers debate poetry and politics. He listens, offering a nod, a small smile, a comment so measured that it seems born of the moment, though it is honed with precision. That is the art he captured, an art that would outlast his time and shape power for centuries. Lesson from Chamber the One? Hide your ambition behind grace. Let your gestures feel effortless. Let your words be rare and carefully chosen. Guide your master in such a way that he believes the guidance is his own. Become indispensable, but never a threat. In a world of eyes and whispers, those who master this dance live to see another dawn. But the art of the courtier did not remain in Italy's sun-drenched palaces. It crossed seas and decades, taking root in the cold, stone corridors of Tudor England, a court even sharper, where survival demanded not only elegance, but absolute cunning. Cross the sea now from Italy's golden gardens to a land of iron skies and stone palaces. It is the year 1558. The young Elizabeth Tudor has just ascended the throne of England. The country is restless, divided by faith. Catholics longing for Rome, Protestants clinging to reform. Spain looms as a hostile giant across the Channel. At home, ambitious noblemen circle the Queen like hawks, each vying for her attention, her favor, her power. The court of Elizabeth is nothing like Urbino's gentle salons. It is a labyrinth of whispers and plots, where a smile can hide a dagger, and a misstep can lead to the Tower of London, or the executioner's axe. It is here we meet William Cecil, born in the year 1520, a man who understood that survival required more than charm or intellect. It required mastery of the invisible currents beneath the surface of power. Picture the palace at Westminster, stone walls thick with centuries of secrets, tapestries depicting conquests past, long tables laden with candlesticks, whose wax drips like blood in the candlelight. Courtiers in velvet robes stride the halls, their words laced with double meanings. The Queen herself, a brilliant mind hidden behind a mask of royal composure, observes them all. Into this world steps Cecil, a scholar with sharp eyes and a quiet demeanor. He is not handsome in the way favorites like Robert Dudley are. He does not compete in jousts or woo with poetry. Instead, he moves with caution, his mind always 10 steps ahead. Elizabeth valued wit, loyalty, and subtlety. Cecil offered her all three. Where others made grand gestures, Cecil offered small, steady ones. When the Queen expressed a wish, Cecil did not leap to fulfill it with loud declarations. Instead, he shaped his actions, so she believed her wish had unfolded naturally. He understood a truth that few others grasped. To serve a master is to serve their image of themselves. Elizabeth saw herself as clever, sovereign, cautious. Cecil reflected those traits back to her, mirroring her intelligence with his own quiet counsel, mirroring her caution by never pressing too hard. In dealing with princes, Cecil noted privately, a man must show himself neither dull nor overbold, but watch, and so fashion his counsel that it seemeth to arise from their own mind. All around Cecil, rivals burned brightly and then fell. Robert Devereux, the young Earl of Essex, dazzled the court with his bravery and charm, but his ambition grew too bold. In the year 1599, he led a rebellion, thinking himself indispensable. He misread the Queen's pride and paid with his head. Cecil, meanwhile, endured. He spoke little at court gatherings, observing rather than competing. He knew when to fade into the background, when to let others take credit, and when to offer precisely the right word at precisely the right moment. Behind closed doors, Cecil's influence was immense. He orchestrated foreign alliances, managed spies, and navigated treacherous waters with Spain. Yet in public, he remained modest. He let others perform the theater of power while he wrote the script. His longevity was astonishing. For more than 40 years, he served Elizabeth, through wars, conspiracies, and threats to her throne. He rose from Secretary of State to Lord High Treasurer, and even then he never flaunted his authority. He understood that to outshine the master is to invite ruin, and so he remained her quiet architect. Imagine yourself walking through those halls, hearing the echoes of boots on cold stone, smelling the smoke of torches in the winter air. You might see Cecil at a council table, his hand resting lightly on a parchment, his eyes listening more than his ears. Around him, younger courtiers speak passionately, trying to outdo each other. Cecil waits, then speaks softly. His words cut through the noise like a blade through silk. In a world where ambition often screamed, Cecil whispered. In a court where brilliance blinded, Cecil's steady glow endured. The perfect courtier does not seek to dominate. He seeks to endure. He does not seize the spotlight, but controls the stage lighting. He makes himself indispensable without ever threatening the ego of the one who holds ultimate power. Cecil died in the year 1598, in his bed, a peaceful end almost unheard of among Elizabeth's circle. His rivals had been exiled, executed, or forgotten. Yet Cecil's legacy remained, proof that in a court where so many fought to shine, the man who mastered subtlety shone the longest. But the art of the courtier was not confined to stable kingdoms and secure thrones. There were courts that glittered even as they burned, where loyalty was both weapon and shield. Step now into the twilight of Versailles, where chandeliers sparkled above a world ready to collapse, and witness a courtier who risked everything in the service of a queen. Count Axel von Fersen. court of Versailles was unlike any other. Imagine a palace so vast it could hold 10,000 people, where every wall was covered in mirrors, gilded frames, and paintings of triumph. Gold leaf dusted the ceilings. Fountains sang in manicured gardens. Candles numbered in the thousands lit the ballrooms where nobles danced until dawn. But by the year 1789, the glow was turning sickly. Outside those gates, bread riots erupted. In Paris, pamphlets accused the Queen of crimes, both real and imagined. The guillotine's shadow stretched long, though no one yet dared speak its name. Into this world moved Count Axel von Fersen of Sweden, born in the year 1755. He was a man of noble blood, a soldier, and a diplomat. His bearing was graceful, his speech measured, his demeanor calm even in chaos. When he entered a salon, women took notice, but his charm was never reckless. It was precisely measured, like the cut of a jeweler's stone. Fersen became close to Queen Marie Antoinette, so close that whispers spread through every corridor of Versailles. Some said they were lovers. Others said he was simply the one man who understood her loneliness in a court of vipers. History still debates it. What matters is this: Fersen embodied the art of the courtier in its most dangerous form, serving and guiding a monarch, while never allowing his loyalty to appear as ambition. Versailles was built to make power visible, but its games were played in shadow. A noble might spend months trying to be noticed in the Queen's presence, maneuvering for a single smile or word. Those who pushed too boldly risked exile. Those who did nothing vanished. Fersen moved through these ranks with quiet precision. He offered the Queen conversation, discretion, a presence that soothed rather than competed. He never tried to outshine her or those around her. He reflected their light, making them feel brilliant in his company. In a private letter, Fersen once wrote of the court, "To serve is to disappear into the service, to be the whisper that moves the hand, never the hand itself." Then came the Revolution. In the year 1789, the Bastille fell. In the year 1791, the royal family attempted to flee Paris in a daring escape known as the Flight to Varennes. And Fersen was the one who quietly orchestrated it. Picture the scene. A summer night, the moon hidden behind clouds. Carriages wait in the shadows, horses restless. Fersen, disguised as a coachman, guides the Queen and her family into the darkness. His heart pounds, but his face remains calm. He knows that if discovered, not only the Queen but he himself will die. For a time, the plan works. They ride through villages unnoticed, the royal children asleep in their mother's arms. Fersen remains apart, watching from the driver's perch, ready to misdirect any questions. He is the perfect courtier even now, serving silently, protecting invisibly. But fate is cruel. At Varennes, suspicions arise. The royal family is recognized. They are captured and dragged back to Paris under guard. Fersen, however, is not caught. His plan failed, but his mastery of discretion saved his life. He does not cry out, does not rush forward to be arrested with them. He returns to the shadows, continuing to serve where he can, writing letters, smuggling news, remaining loyal to the end. In the years that followed, Marie Antoinette was imprisoned, and in the year 1793, executed by guillotine. Fersen lived on, haunted by what he could not prevent. Yet history remembers him not as a failure, but as a man who embodied grace under impossible pressure. He survived because he never overplayed his hand. He never sought the crown for himself. He served, and in serving remained untouchable even when the monarchy crumbled. Lesson: in a world falling apart, the perfect courtier does not panic. He moves quietly, serves loyally, and never forgets that his role is not to command openly, but to guide invisibly. We have wandered through Urbino's salons, England's labyrinthine councils, and Versailles' gilded halls. In each, survival belonged not to the strongest or even the smartest, but to those who wore power like a second skin. Never too tight, never too loose, always effortless. Let us now step out of history's chambers and draw the threads together. What exactly makes the perfect courtier perfect? We step now out of the chambers of history and into the quiet spaces between them. Look closely at these figures, Castiglione, Cecil, Fersen, and you will see not accidents of fate, but deliberate architects of their own survival. The perfect courtier is not a sycophant. He is not merely a flatterer. He is an engineer of perception. His life is a careful choreography of words, glances, silences, and calculated retreats. Before we dissect their methods, remember the nature of their courts. In Renaissance, Italy, a poorly chosen phrase could lead to poison in your wine by morning. In Elizabethan England, a single moment of arrogance might mean the Tower of London. In revolutionary France, even a whisper of loyalty to the crown could mark you for the guillotine. Each court was a living organism. It rewarded those who fed it with elegance, subtlety, and deference. It devoured those who fed it with their raw ambition or reckless honesty. Principle 1. Hide your effort. The mask of sprezzatura. Castiglione taught that the greatest danger was to appear as if you were trying to impress. In Urbino, the man who practiced his lute day and night, but performed as if music flowed from his soul, was admired. The man who showed his sweat was pitied. This was not deception for its own sake. It was survival. The perfect courtier must appear to be, never to strive. In all human affairs, the less effort we show, the more grace we possess. Castiglione. Even today, in boardrooms and political councils, the one who seems calm, unbothered, effortless in his solutions is the one others trust. They cannot see the hours of preparation hidden behind the smile. And that is precisely the point. Principle 2. Flatter without sinking to flattery. The art of praise is deadly. Praise too much and you appear desperate. Praise too little and you appear cold or rivalrous. Cecil mastered this art in Elizabeth's England. When she made a decision, he did not simply say, "Yes, Your Majesty." He would frame his counsel so that she felt she had chosen the path herself. A compliment from Cecil was rare, precise, and therefore invaluable. The lesson? Your words must feel like gifts, not currency. Principle 3. Be indispensable, but invisible. Fersen shows us this principle in its most perilous form. He served a queen whose power was crumbling, yet he never allowed himself to become the story. Even as rumors of their closeness spread, he never flaunted his proximity. At court, the moment you appear too powerful, too close to the throne, you become a target. The perfect courtier guides but never eclipses. He is a shadow cast by the light of his master. Principle 4. Observe the unspoken rules. Every court has rules, most never written, all fiercely enforced. In Urbino, you arrived at certain hours, spoke only after the Duke, never placed yourself above another in seating. In Elizabeth's England, you never interrupted the Queen, never boasted of influence, never asked for favor directly. In Versailles, you performed rituals of attendance so complex that even nobles studied them for years. The perfect courtier learns these rules like a priest learns sacred texts. He bends them quietly to his advantage, but never so far that they snap. Principle 5. Mirror the master's desires. A ruler craves reflection. They want to see their own brilliance mirrored back to them. Castiglione advised, "Let the courtier so frame his mind that he may adapt himself to the humor of him with whom he hath to do." Cecil listened, mirrored Elizabeth's fears and hopes, and became her voice of reason. Fersen mirrored Marie Antoinette's need for loyalty and calm, becoming her refuge in a world of betrayal. This mirroring is not servility, it is strategy. When the master feels understood, they draw you closer. Principle 6. Power in silence. One of the most overlooked weapons of the courtier is silence. In a world where everyone is speaking, scheming, boasting, the one who listens becomes the one who knows. Cecil often sat through hours of counsel without a word, then delivered one sentence that steered the entire decision. Fersen endured salons filled with gossip, never betraying a thought. Even Castiglione wrote, "Words are like money. Spend them with care, or you will be left with nothing." Why this matters beyond palaces. You may think the court is a relic of history. It is not. It is your workplace where a boss's favor decides promotion. It is your social circle where one ill-timed truth can exile you. It is the digital world where reputation can be built or destroyed in hours. The modern court is everywhere, and the perfect courtier still thrives. Quiet, charming, never obvious, always effective. Consider those who ignored this law. The brash soldier who mocked a duke and woke with poison in his veins. The poet who outshone the queen's intellect and was banished to the tower. The courtier who flaunted his closeness to a monarch and was torn apart by a mob. Power is not kind to the clumsy. Power devours those who fail to dance with it. Now you have walked through the candlelit halls and watched the shadows move. You have heard the whispered rules and seen how those who obeyed them shaped history, while others vanished. But one question remains. How do you carry these lessons into your own life? Let us step into the final chamber, the mirror room, where you face yourself. Step with me now into the final chamber. The air here is hushed. The walls are lined with mirrors, tall gilded frames reflecting not only your image, but the countless faces of courtiers across time. Look closely. You will see Castiglione walking through an Italian garden, his hands clasped behind his back, his eyes reading the souls of those around him. You will see Cecil bent over a candle-lit desk in England, pen in hand, drafting advice that will save a queen. You will see Fersen in the twilight, a coachman's cloak over his noble shoulders, eyes scanning the shadows for danger. All of them are looking back at you. The question is not whether you will ever walk in a palace. It is whether you already stand in a court without realizing it. Your office is a court. Your circle of friends is a court. Your online presence, your meetings, your negotiations. These are the palaces of today. There are rulers you must not outshine, unseen rivalries that simmer beneath the surface. There are unspoken rules, whispered expectations, games played in smiles and silences. To ignore these truths is to walk blindfolded through a battlefield of hidden daggers. You have seen how power truly moves, not through shouting, but through shaping perception, not through dominance, but through artful presence. Ask yourself, do you rush to impress, revealing your hunger? Do you speak without thinking, leaving words scattered like careless coins? Do you try to outshine those above you, forgetting that a master's pride is more fragile than a soldier's armor? Or will you learn the dance? Will you cultivate grace, silence, and the subtle art of making others feel greater, even as you weave your own path to power? History is littered with those who ignored this law. They believed raw talent would save them. They believed honesty was enough. They believed power could be taken by storm. But in the court, any court, raw talent without tact is a blade without a handle. It will cut you before you cut anyone else. The perfect courtier is never the brightest flame in the room. He is the soft glow that illuminates others while shaping the space itself. He survives revolutions, outlives rivals, and whispers his influence across generations. To master this art is to hold a power so refined, so invisible, that none can strike at you, because none can quite see you. You stand now in the mirror room. Look into your own reflection. Behind your smile, can you learn to hold your secrets? Behind your words, can you hide your true designs? Behind your gestures, can you make others feel safe, even as you quietly guide their steps? Learn this art, and the world becomes your court. Fail, and the world becomes your executioner. Remember, power is not always loud. Power is not always violent. Power is often graceful, an invisible hand moving pieces across the board, a shadow shaping the light. Play the perfect courtier. Like, subscribe, comment, or don't. You are the master of your own life.